What? Shabbat Shalom. It finally rained. Shabbat HaKeves? It finally rained, and we are still in a drought, but at least the land feels a little bit better. The world, however, continues to be a place of conflict, and it's scary. Parashat Noach is so rich. It gives me so many topics to choose from. And I could talk about the perils of giving into rage, about covenants, heeding warnings, preparing for disasters. I could talk about Noach and his family having to rebuild civilization, fortunately with a little bit bigger gene pool than after Eden. I could talk about righteousness as being blessed with rebuilding, or about hoping for dry land, hoping for peace in the midst of destruction, about patience and God's timing. First there was the raven, then there was the dove, then there was the olive branch. But no. Sweetie and I are going to talk about conflict, humility, and unity. This parsha could have just as well been called God's foibles. It really doesn't paint God in a great light. And I think it's interesting to note that the foibles stay in nonetheless. Excuse the chewing. God is in the parsha in the part that's about Noach. God is quick to anger, slow to forgive, reactionary, retaliatory, basically all of the things we are not supposed to be. However, God also learns, and I think that this is why all of that is in the parsha. God is committed to a relationship with us. God apologizes sincerely and promises not to mess up the same way twice. And God commits to put in the work to heal the harm and the hurt that has been caused. And so, in this parsha, we receive the blueprint for teshuvah in the divine image. This is how we should act with each other. Our anniversary was this week. It wasn't great. We're both very stressed with our work right now, and the days are getting short fast, as you can see, and life just wasn't very accommodating of romance. The next day wasn't great either. We took our frustrations out on each other. We didn't communicate well. It was the kind of day that leaves you wondering if you and your spouse are even speaking the same language. In the last reading of this week's parsha, we find the story of the Tower of Babel. There are myriad commentaries and devarim on it, what exactly the sin was in building this tower, and why God responded by scattering people worldwide. It seems like the same kind of overreaction that God had with the flood, doesn't it? Mad about something, wipe everybody out. Instead of killing everyone, now God makes it impossible for humankind to communicate, to speak together, to work together, to understand one another. Did God just wreck world peace? This is 10 generations after the flood. A mere couple hundred years. Remember, Noach lives to be 935. So this is like nothing, a couple of weeks in God's time. People are living in harmony, they're working cooperatively, and God's like, oh hey, I'm gonna go down there and check this out. Something big is happening on that plain down there. So God goes down there, and it says, V'yomer Adonai henam echad v'safa echad lekulam. God said, look, they're one people with one language. Echad. One. Where else do we use that word? Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. God is one. Eula and I are one. Some translate the word Echad to mean unity. Yes, we can be unified, but it would be better if you lay down. Can you lay down? Oh, what a good girl. Others translate it to mean unique, and still others translate it to mean alone. God alone is our God. Think about the beginning of your relationship, a romantic relationship that you have had. It seemed like you had so much in common with that person, right? They were so interesting, and they found you fascinating. And it was almost as if you were one heart or brain in two bodies. Think about the beginning of a marriage. If you've been married for a while, remember being a newlywed, looking at couples that would fight and saying to each other with a naive smirk, oh, we're never going to be like that. Not us. We'll never go to bed angry. We're going to talk about everything. And maybe you still do. Maybe that's true, but the talking has probably gotten a lot less romantic and is a whole lot shorter as the two of you have developed your own couple's language. So God looks down on this tower, on these myriad unique individuals, working basically with a unified hive mind. And he decides that they need to be separated. Echad. Unified, unique, alone. In the last Parsha, Bereshit, when God created Adam, God pronounced that it wasn't good for man to be alone. That's referenced quite a bit around weddings. Adam and Eve, not good for man to be alone. God made a helpmeet. The Tower of Babel didn't really unite people. It separated the builders from everyone else. Okay, well, people were working together. They were working as one with one language, and that had to be good, right? Think about knowing someone in the first year of a relationship and then knowing them in the last. Or if you're still in a relationship with somebody, think about the way you know them now. After so many years together, don't you know them better? See, growth doesn't happen in a love bubble. The secret of a great marriage is that two people have the freedom to grow individually and together. You're supposed to grow. You're supposed to change. You're not supposed to stay the same person that you were the day you met them. And you're supposed to still love, appreciate, and know each other because of it. Growth happens in conflict. Think about anything you've learned in your life. It didn't come perfectly, right? You had to struggle along the way. It's nice to be in love with my husband. And it's fun to be the gross couple that wears matching t-shirts and calls each other pet names and still holds hands. But I treasure the moments of conflict we have. I appreciate those places where our edges prickle and sometimes hurt each other. Because eventually we rub them off and we make each other softer. When we don't see eye to eye, we're forced to ask questions. And then we learn more about our partner. And that knowledge about that person is what sets our relationship apart from any other we have as individuals. I'm a better person today than the day I married my husband. I hope you can say the same. And our relationship is much, much richer and stronger than the day we said I do. But in Aramaic, with many, many tears of joy. As sweet as one people, one language may have seemed, humans wouldn't grow if they didn't find some differences. And with all the growth that different, unique experiences bring, they'd be so much richer and more exciting when they came together again. Echad, unique. Every person has a unique soul and is made in the image of the divine. Every relationship of two people is unique. Every community has the opportunity to be unified through their uniqueness so that no one has to be alone. The world is trying very hard right now to make us feel alone. I promise you're not. You're not alone. The towers have to come down. Politically, socially, emotionally. For many of us, elections are right around the corner. So vote for people who ask questions. Vote for people who believe in constructive conflict, not high conflict. Don't be like Noach God and react with rage. Be like relationship God. Sift through the differences. Find unity. Be a rainbow to those around you, and when you can, find other rainbows and revel in each other's uniqueness. I'm glad you're here. Shabbat Shalom.